7th part of this Python tutorial. So this will be our final Python tutorial. After this will jump onto the data science part. So as if you have not seen the previous videos, please go and watch and then come to the 7th part. So the 6th part, in which we covered what is classes, what is function, how to write, where to write, and why to write, syntax and all. Now we are going to see some of the features of classes. So the last thing that we covered in the 6th part was the inheritance. Okay, so here we are going to see first what is method overloading, method overriding. So this was the class that we have written previously. Okay, let me execute this and let me show you what we did. We created an object and then we tried getting the mileage. So like this we can get all the other attributes as well. Okay, so for now all these are not required, right? So we will import a library called dispatch, okay, from multiple dispatch. So why we need that will cover in a moment, but first let's import it. And now if you can see, we are writing the same class again. And if you are aware, or if you let me get back to you to the vehicle class. So if you can see, in the class vehicle we had something called get status with a self, and it simply returns the self.status. No query so far, correct? There was a get status function in the class called vehicle. Now if I see here, we had a class car in which we are inheriting vehicle. So this was what we covered in previous part. Now we are going to study about overriding and overloading. So in this, what we are doing, we are writing the car class as it is with the vehicle inheritance, and then if you can see, I am writing get status again. Okay, so get status again I am writing. Why? It is not required. So you know, if I don't write this, I am still inheriting the get status from the vehicle. But if I write get status again, what is happening is, if suppose I don't write get status here, okay, if I comment it, okay, let me comment this, control this one, let me comment this, let me execute this. So if you see, if I create a car2 object and if I execute it now, what will I get? This is not required. Let me execute car2.getStatus, could not find signature. What happened? One second. car2.getStatus. Oh, one second. Yeah, okay, so I am commenting all this. This was our previous as it is, and if I execute this class, let me minimize my browser. Okay, it won't be visible. Okay, so this was our class, and if I create this car and if I try to get status, you can see we are getting stopped, which is simply returning the status. So this was the logic that we have written in the vehicle class and which is inherited into the car. But now what we are doing is we are simply defining that function again. So this function is already defined, that is already a logic is written under this. But if I am writing this again, so instead of the logic that we have written previously, this will be executed. Okay, so get status, so far we were getting it from the parent class, but because I have written this again, like I have defined it again, the logic written in the child class will get executed. Let me execute this. Okay, create a model, create a car, and now if I try to execute car2, you can see this logic got executed. So that was about overloading, overriding. So it is self-explanatory. There was a function already and I overrided that logic and wrote some other logics in the child class. So the logic written in the child class, that is car class, has override the logic of the logic written in the parent class. So that was our overriding. Okay, now let's say overloading. So what overloading means, if suppose there is a function already called get status, if I write it again in the same class, okay, so what does the difference? So here if you can see, a number of arguments is different and here number of arguments is different. So what basically I am saying, if suppose I want to add, okay, for that I want to write logic. So I can, if I want to add 3 numbers, I can call add twice, like add first 2 numbers and then the result of that will be added by the third number. In that way I can call it twice, or I can write one more add function which accepts 3 arguments. Okay, so similarly if you can see here, this function is expecting no arguments, okay, and this function is expecting one str. So that's why I wrote dispatch. So this function to execute, it needs one attribute which is a string. So if now I execute this and let me create a car as it is. So as of now, if you can see, if I call this get status, where did it go? Okay, car2 dot get status. If I call this, of course, since I am not passing any argument, this logic will get executed. Correct? Let me execute this. Okay. Now if I pass something like car2 dot get status, if I write started, okay, so this started, like I am passing a string, so this logic will get executed where the status value is getting changed to the value that I am passing, and then that will be returned. So here I am expecting started. You see, so this time this logic got executed instead of this. So here we simply increase the number of arguments, or we can say we updated the number of arguments, and based on the arguments which function to get executed, whether this function or this function, that has been decided and it is got executed. So that was our overloading. So this was overriding and this was overloading. I hope the concept is clear. And next we'll move on to constructor. So here you can see, for creating an object we are passing all the arguments 4, 15, 10, car model, stuff. Okay, and those arguments are received by this function called init. Are we calling it anywhere? No. But when we try to create an object using this form of syntax, that is a class name with the braces, so that will, whenever we want to create an object, the first method that will execute is the init method. Okay, so init method will be coming under the lifecycle method, so you can go and check once for the lifecycle methods of a class or Python. You can search in that way, but the first method that will execute is the init. So we call that init as a constructor. It initializes all the values. Okay, so this was happening so far. Now if I don't use it, okay, so that I have written here. So here we are simply writing a class as it is, no changes, nothing. But here I am not defining a class, I mean constructor. So let me execute this. Okay, so in this case what will happen is, if I try to create an object, okay, so here what I'm trying to say is, if I'm creating a constructor, right, at that time what is the aim of the constructor is, it will initialize the values. But if I don't write a constructor, it is self-explanatory. Even if you don't know the language, you can say if there is no initializer, the values will not be initialized. I'll repeat this: if there is no initializers, or we can say when there is no constructor, there will be no one to initialize or construct the values. So that's why if we don't have a constructor, the default constructor will be the empty parenthesis, that is no arguments we can pass to constructor. That is called default constructor. So the constructors which we are writing with multiple arguments, that is our custom constructor. But if we are not writing anything, by default an default constructor will be created, which is like an empty arguments. No, it is expecting no argument. So when we don't write constructor, then we have to do the functionality of the constructor manually. That is, instead of constructor doing initialization for us, we will be doing initialization. So car3, like this car object we will be creating, and then we will be assigning values, like initializing each values. Mileage is 15, airbags is 4, this is repairing, under repairing, okay, whatever it is. Model type car3 model, fuel. Okay, I can write empty as well as 1 or 2, 3, 4, anything that I want. Okay, now if I execute this, what happened? Missing 3 arguments. Did I execute this? Yes. And now I'll try to execute this. What happening? Fuel. Oh, okay, yeah. Since I didn't write the constructor here, anyway the constructor of vehicle is there, okay, which is expecting 3 arguments. So I'll pass that will be the default constructor. So what is that 3 values? First is, okay, what is the constructor of vehicle, or else I can remove this constructor as well. Okay, so now the constructor is not there, so I'll be initializing it manually. Okay, so there is no constructor in the vehicle and there is no constructor in the class, and this time if we need to initialize the car object with an empty constructor. You see, now we'll try to initialize all the values manually, and now it is car3. Okay, this is car, one second, R. Okay, now we can use it manually. So that is why we use constructor. Yeah, so that's it for now. So we covered the overriding, overloading, constructor, and different restrictions. Yeah, so final topic that we are going to cover today is the restriction. So if you see, let's have this constructor. So there is nothing much to understand for this topic, but to tell, if you are aware of Java and other programming languages, you must have come across the public private. So for them this explanation is required, but if you are new to any programming languages, then you need not to worry about this restriction topic. So in other languages we have something called public variables, private variables, and such things. Okay, so private variables cannot be accessed directly. Like here I can directly access car3 dot fuel. Okay, but if fuel is a private variable, I cannot access it directly. So that is how a general public private varies, but in Python there is no concept of private. Okay, but still, just to make sure that the person who is working on it, like I define some class, okay, and you are working on that class, so just to make sure to tell you by seeing the code that this is something that I intended to be keeping as private, I'll have two underscores, or single underscore. So underscore means that it is a private variable. So this is just to tell that that variable is a private variable, but still the behavior will remain same because there is no concept of private variables in Python. Okay, as you are accessing a public variable directly, similarly you can access the private variables directly as well. So there is no public private differentiation in Python. But if you are coming from some other programming languages, and if you want to see which level, which variables I should be allowed to modify directly or I should not, then for understanding sake, a developer will write this underscores. Okay, so that was about a public private concept. So overall there is no concept of private in Python, but just for understanding sake, just to make the developer aware, okay, this is something we expected to be private, we keep the underscore. Okay, yeah, so that's it for now. If you have any other queries with respect to this, please write down in the comment section, and next part onwards we will be starting the data science. So if you are already aware of that, you can wait for some more days where we are going to work on statistics and all, but otherwise you can continue with this. If you have any other topic suggestion, you can write down in the comment section. I'll work on that as well. So yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.